Okay, so we got Linux Mint installed. What it's going to do is, I didn't show it, but what's going to happen is once that big thing is done, it's going to ask you to shut down your computer, and it's going to ask you to remove installation media. That means pull your DVD, pull your CD, pull your USB flash drive if that's what you were using to boot, and then the computer is going to restart. And this is what it's going to look like when it restarts. Of course, we're running in full screen. Alright, there we go. Now usually this will pop up. This is your grub. And if you're dual booting with Windows, you're going to have the option above here, Windows 7, XP, whatever you're using, and then normal Linux Mint. Now this is nice because it gives you the option now. If you leave it here for a couple of seconds, it's going to automatically choose to boot Linux Mint 13. It's going to tell you the information about it, and then it's going to go ahead and show you where you're using this. Now this is we're going to discuss Linux file systems when I'm done here, but dev is device and SD1A is your primary hard drive. Now memory tests and serial consoles and recovery modes are for stuff to go wrong. Don't worry about that. We're just going to boot good old-fashioned Linux Mint. And unlike Windows, we're not going to sit here for 5 minutes waiting to get to a logon screen. This is pretty fast, and I'm running this virtual computer on 512 megs of RAM. That's how fast it boots. So this individual is just running on half of 1 gig of RAM. So we're going to log in, John, password Linux, and you get a little dun 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 noise. We're coming in. The nice part about Ubuntu-based distributions is getting your wireless setup or your internet setup is nothing. It's cake. It takes you 2 minutes, if that. It's actually faster and makes more sense than Windows, which is nice. There are some distributions out there that you're going to have to build your own or do some crazy things. Again, those aren't for beginners. But all Ubuntu-based distributions are pretty nice. So, welcome to Linux Mint. You can do this. It's going to show you a bunch of stuff. I don't need that. Alright. What is this? Wired connection. Alright, we're good to go. Alright, now this is Linux Mint. We're completely installed. Everything works just like you think it will. Let's go Internet. I know there's stuff on the desktop, but I'm just going to take you through your Internet. We can go to Firefox. You can use an instant messenger, a mail client. This already comes with a torrent downloader. And XChat IRC. I use XChat a lot when I'm trying to get into IRC for Linux development and help. You can get a lot of stuff in there. Banshee is my favorite media player as far as music goes. A lot of different distributions come with a different one. The reason I think Linux Mint has been so successful and is the #1 downloaded distribution right now is because it comes with Banshee, Bracero, and VLC. This doesn't matter to me, neither does this, but Bracero is an excellent disk burning program, and Banshee is the best when it comes to music. I love Banshee. The reason I like Banshee is because I hate, what do we say? I hate iTunes. Who doesn't? But the reason is, the problem with that is that Linux has a little trouble with iPod Touch compatibility. We're having a little bit of issue because obviously Linux cannot run another operating system. It can in itself, but that's a whole nother ballgame. The issue is that iTunes is connecting to iOS, which is Macintosh's operating system that is installed on their iPod. And Macintosh and Apple are very testy, just like Microsoft, about getting their source code out there. So you're not going to be able to do that. They're working on it. It's a work in progress. But one thing I like is that I just use iPod Classics. I don't mean the old iPod from back 10 years ago when it first came out, but the iPod Classic is the one with the wheel, and that's what I use. I don't use the touchscreen ones. All of them with the wheel generally work here. But once you plug it in, it's going to ask, it'll tell you to mount, and then you can actually move music in here. Now, obviously I don't have any music installed, but this is an excellent media player, and one of the few media players that actually integrates with your iPod seamlessly. No ifs, ands, or buts. So, it's fantastic. Banshee was closed to the new... Oh, yep, Banshee went down to the corner so that I can play music or do whatever I want, and it doesn't eat resources. Firefox working great. It's really this easy to install. And then the biggest thing you guys will probably spend hours in is, unfortunately, just like Android, because Android is, it's hard to say is a Linux distribution, but some people say it's the bastard child of Linux. It is based on Linux and runs a Linux kernel. And what happens to Android people is they spend their life downloading 19 million apps. Well, here in Linux, you can download as many apps as you want, and they're actually full-featured programs, and 99% of them are free. If you get into the games section, you will come across a few games that are not free, but tons and tons and tons of games in here are free. First-person shooters. These are a couple of games. Alien Arena is pretty cool. Sauerbraten, I'm assuming that's how you say it. That game's pretty cool. I haven't played this one yet. It looks pretty good. But again, these are all free. You just click install, and they install. Now, I'm not going to download a 890 megabyte game just to show you, but let's say a big thing is CAD. AutoCAD costs, what, $2,000 at a minimum? Well, there's LibreCAD, QCAD, I think LinuxCAD. I'm not sure if that still exists. But LibreCAD is an awesome program. Let's find it. LibreCAD computer-aided design system. You can just install. 20 megs to download, 28 installed, and it's amazing. Nice part about this is it's going to tell you everything it does. It's going to remove certain packages, and it's going to install certain packages that are necessary with it. These are called dependencies. Now what that is that in Linux, instead of having to install the same programs over and over again, like you do in Windows and you just don't know it, but when you install a program that has dependencies, meaning other programs that it needs to run, it's going to install them alongside, and if it recognizes that you already have them, it's going to go ahead and ignore them. So there's a ton of things we can download in here. Again, I'm moving on 512 megs RAM, and this is moving pretty fast for half a gig. I don't think computers have come with half a gig for quite a few years. But let's say transmission is installed, I believe. But it's not coming up in here. No, that's not what I want. Deluge. Alright, Deluge is the torrent program that I use. We uninstall Deluge. We can click install, and it's going to ask for the password. Now, the reason it does this, is that you are asking for root user permission. At the end of the installation videos, I'm going to go ahead and explain root and explain the file system to you, because a lot of people get confused, but after about 2 weeks of using Linux, you'll look back at the Windows file system and recognize what a mess it is and how easy this is. So look, it's just downloading. It's going to install itself, and everyone loves it. Okay, so I'm going to close this, not worry about it, and then we're going to move on to Xubuntu in the next video. Alright, we don't need to log in, and we're out.